Thank you, my dear brother, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for gracing my humble show with your presence, man. Because you don't have, arrogant. You're a hard-working guy. You're humble, and you clearly put the time in the studio, and you're sick at what you do. Because I played at the Bindarakia remix, the B famous remix. Rest in peace, Bindarakia G. And how did that come about, man?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, man. I mean, you're too kind, very, very kind words there. Yeah, so, I mean, how did the remix come about? It was like all the remixes, to be honest. Just starts with an idea in my head, and just kind of comes to life from there, really. So, I mean, obviously, you've heard all the Bindrakia tracks. You've got Run the Rhythm in there from Shan and Verinda. So which is a track that I really, really liked. So I wanted to put my own spin on it, and they're good friends of mine. So they were cool with me making a remix of their track, which is always a good thing.
Absolutely superb. And regarding the creativity, regarding your mixes, I was listening to many of them like till late last night. Where did these ideas come from? Like these like combinations in your head? It's mad.
You know what? A lot of it is actually, believe it or not, it's from my DJing, because a lot of the ideas that I come out with when I make these mixes are actually ideas that I've either done live or something that I've thought, you know what, that will sound really good. So most of it is put together whilst DJing. And then when I think, you know what, that actually sounds superb, like really good, then I think, okay, you know what, I would actually like to take it further and make an official remix.
Bruv, you know something? Did somebody who was an adept at DJing must have taught you how to DJ?
Sorry, say that again, Dav. I lost you there for a second.
That's all right. Somebody who was an adept at DJing, who was rather badass, they must have taught you. Who the hell taught you how to DJ like that?
You know what? I've always been into music since a young age. If I wasn't tapping on tables or playing the dol or the dolki or the tabla or getting in trouble from school teachers, my parents, I was always into music every single step of the way. And I don't know what, it's actually difficult to put it into words. I always used to think, oh, you know what, this song would sound really good mixed with this song. And a lot of these ideas would happen in my head. And then obviously when I was old enough, and I got myself a pair of turntables, it all started from there. So in terms of being taught how to DJ, actually I was self-taught. I taught myself, but
sick.
It was weird how it came about, to be honest. I always knew in my head that these two particular tracks would go together, and then when I got around to actually doing it, they did go together. So it was like it was just one of those things. It just fell into place, man.
Boy. So did you start on vinyl?
Yeah. Started on vinyl.
Isn't that like really difficult?
It is, but you know what? I'm always an advocate of mix with your ears, not with your eyes. Technology is a great thing, and it's advanced a lot, and you've got a lot of DJs coming through. It's evolution at the end of the day. But I always am a believer of, when it comes to music's something you listen to, right?
100.
So I think that the ones that are out there that are really, really talented are the ones that always have started on turntables. And it is hard, but if you can mix on turntables, then mixing on anything else is a walk in the park.
Wow. So regarding, I don't know how the art of beat matching on turntables, how that would have been, and I don't know. Talk about what are your favorite decks, man?
You know what, the ultimate decks out there, like everyone knows, are the Technics 1210s. If you had a pair of them, you were serious back in the day. If you could afford a pair of them, you were serious about your game. And in terms of the beat matching, yeah, you know what, it is very difficult on vinyl, and that's where your talent and that's where you shine, because there's not something doing it for you. There's not a computer screen that you're looking at, or there's not a sync button on the pair of decks. You're doing everything with your ears. If it's going slightly out, you're pitch bending it back in with your hands. And that's why I say that if you're able to do that, then when I then moved on to CDs, it was a step easier. When you now move on to Serato, which is what everyone uses, it's another step easier. But the art of DJing is on turntables with vinyl, man. If you're a real DJ, that's what you love.
Wicked, 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 wicked. Great answer there as well. Okay, so what would you say in being a DJ your challenges were coming up?
Many challenges. First of all, being an Indian kid born in 1980s and telling your parents you want to be a DJ and not a doctor, that was probably the first challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was hard to overcome as well. But I would always say to anyone who's up and coming in as a DJ, make sure you do study, because you need something to fall back on if this doesn't work for you. There's a lot of DJs out there. It's not guaranteed for everyone to actually make it full time as a DJ. So definitely study and definitely have something to fall back on. Other challenges, being able to afford to buy equipment.
Yeah, very
expensive. When you're young, I mean, I done a paper round from the age of 14. I was doing paper rounds, saving my money until I was able to buy my first pair of SoundLab belt-driven turntables with a 2-channel mixer, SoundLab as well. And I bought that with my own hard-earned money. So that was also a challenge. And going forward with events, when you start, obviously you start off as a bedroom DJ, right? So then
100.
buying music even. You're spending money you haven't got on buying records. And even when a show does come along, I remember I used to spend more money than I would even be getting paid on music for that show. In terms of getting equipment, I was lucky that I had good friends who would hire me equipment, and that made me able to do shows.
Yeah.
Without that, it was difficult. I used to see other people my age that were doing shows, and for example, they'd be charging £300, but they'd be paying £250 for equipment.
Wow.
So that kind of stuff it was difficult, and I was lucky that I had people around me, good people that helped me. So I would get good prices for things. It allowed me to save. It allowed me to buy equipment. By the age of 17, 18, I was doing full-blown weddings. I was out doing full-blown weddings with all my own gear. So that's. But you got to have the hunger, the passion, all these things. They have to be there with you. But you need help along the way, man. It's not easy. So I'd say balancing studying and balancing DJing and balancing working and earning the money for it. These were all the challenges, and just kind of keeping the hunger and the passion alive and not giving up is probably my advice, man. Those are the challenges I faced.
Wow. You mentioned studying quite a few times. If I'm correct, you're a Bachelor of Sciences.
Yes. I have got 2 degrees. I've got a degree in human biology and I've got a degree in psychology. So yeah, studying is important. I come from a family where everyone is studying. My dad was very, very, very on it to make sure that we all had an education, because once you've got an education, no matter what happens, it can't be taken off you. So I would say that if you ever need anything in life, you've got that to fall back on. So yeah, so it's 2 degrees, studied at the same time whilst DJing. So it was hard, man. It was hard.
Whoa. Okay, but let's look at those degrees here. So the biology, right? Obviously you're going to know what affects your sound waves have on people's organs and how they react to it. And also the psychology element links into it too. So you know what makes people tick and how to get to them musically.
Yep.
Genius, absolute genius. I salute you for juggling the academic side of things alongside with just pure creativity. So you're taking one of those individuals who uses both hemispheres of the brain and bridges the two.
You sound like you know quite a bit yourself.
No. My background is law and studying corporate law and also finance. So studying leverage buyouts, mergers and acquisitions, and basically analysing companies' accounts to see whether the price is it undervalued or overvalued. Then we buy.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's okay. It's okay. It's very difficult, the work is, but my escapism from all the rest of that is the studio and music, isn't it? There you have it. Sorry if I sound boring. No, but it's absolutely fine. So the thing is, right, bruv, right? First, I salute you for doing that, because that's very, very difficult. The pressure of examinations and all, assignments as well must have been coming left, right, and centre. Plus, you got wedding. You're getting booked for weddings, which is quite hectic. You know what I mean? So to manage that, did anyone help you manage your time?
You know what? That's a good. Well, the short answer is no. I managed it myself, but you know, having, for example, having like, my parent, my dad especially, was very, very strict on us. So I think having that in the background made me manage my time, because it's very easy to just, as a young kid, just DJ all day long,
Hanji.
because you're so engrossed in all it. So you can just, spend all your time doing it. But to be able to discipline yourself and, know when to shut off from that side and study, and make sure everything goes to plan, I think that comes down to time management, which is probably enforced by my parents, to be honest. But yeah, ultimately, I think I managed the time. I knew when it was time to DJ. I knew when it was time to study. And you have to be able to do the two hand in hand to be able to do the two. Otherwise, one will suffer.
Very true, my brother. I'm going to raise a point. I interviewed Pete Ware a couple of weeks back on the show, and Pete from Parrot Studios, and as you know, he mixed a lot of tracks, yeah, that we grew up dancing to, and on the Bangladesh scene, and also a lot of stuff mainstream. And he stressed the point of looking after your hearing and volume levels. So what are you doing regarding that as a DJ to look after your hearing? Because that's how you earn your money.
Yeah. So I actually know a couple of DJs that have damaged, and one guy has actually lost his hearing. Um, the biggest thing with DJs is your monitors on stage.
Okay.
A lot of the speakers are forward facing. So those don't actually affect you because they're playing music out. It's your monitors on stage. If you've got a monitor blaring in your ear, that's what's going to damage your hearing. So my advice would be, again, like, you don't need to have that monitor pumping so hard in your ear. So how I protect my thing is, basically not to have a loud monitor pumping in my ear, and my headphones as well, to keep your headphones at a reasonable volume. These things allow you to protect. And touch wood, so far so good. I don't want to jinx myself, but yeah, so far so good, man. I can hear, I can mix. But I think with time, it's like anything, right? Your hearing can go at any time, and that would be quite a serious thing to consider if it did happen. That's kind of career changing. But a lot of people also can. There's what are they called? There's these earbud things you put in that can limit the decibels coming into your ear.
That's good.
I've tried that, but I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. Like, it kind of takes away the real life experience of actually being there DJing, because it's limited. So I think just be cautious with your monitors and your headphones, and you should be fine.
May I also make a recommendation? May you also have your own, and that costs about £100, but it's a sound decibel meter, and that also covers you from the council. You know what I mean? Because if they step in, have you ever had any encounters with the council?
We get them all the time with venues, and to be honest, that one thing that you mentioned is the bane of our life. We actually hate sound limiters and decibel meters, because they come up to and they say, "Oh, you're playing at this many decibels." But you know what? You've been to Indian parties, you've been to Indian weddings, and music's got to bang, it's got to be loud. And those things, they limit the atmosphere. So I know exactly what that is. But yeah, we try and stay well clear of those ones, I'm afraid.
It's true. Okay, but the thing is, I've heard stories of DJs actually damaging the actual structure of venues with the bass frequencies. Is that true?
You can do, yeah, you can do. It's loud, it's vibrating. Things will crack, things will fall. I mean, I've had a chandelier, bits fall off from chandeliers. I've had, obviously, equipment covered in dust as it's falling down with the vibrations. But you can't avoid these things. It happens. I mean, I'm yet to shatter a building or anything like that. But I do like to play my music loud. I can't deny that.
Right, now talking about lighting as well, being a DJ, I take it you're in charge of the lighting. And how the hell did he manage to get that green star thing as well? That's sick.
Oh, that's a laser light.
Cool.
So lighting is a massive thing with events. Any of the signature events that you see, any of the pictures that you look at and you think, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That comes down to lighting. And lighting is something we do, whether it's lighting on stage, whether it's production lighting, which is lighting that you rig to the ceiling. We manage all of that, and that's a big wow factor for events. But what you're referring to, going back to, that's a laser light. So everyone knows a nice green laser coming through doing all the funky stuff. So we control all of that. So we have a dedicated lighting operator who does that. So again, with events, DJing is one element, but really we're managing the whole thing. We're making sure your whole entertainment side of things is covered. And we do spill over into things like managing your bar, your dance floor, your lighting, and helping you put together that whole event. So you need a good team behind you to be able to do all of that.
Well, I did look at your website and looking at the services you offer. So you're very multi-talented, and to actually manage to manage the stage and event planning as well.
Yeah. So when a bride and groom come and sit down with us, they normally, well, my clients who normally come and sit down with me, they've pretty much only booked their venue and possibly their caterer. And then I'm the next point of call to get the DJ locked in. But when they come and sit down with us, we pretty much tell them, these are your photographers you can use, this is who you should use for your decor, these are your videographers. So you give people referrals. So they walk away from that meeting and they've now pretty much got a link for every single element, your car hire, you name it, your wedding cake, your live entertainment on the day, everything gets put forward. And when you've got, for example, let's say you were getting married and you said, oh, who do you think I should use for my photo, my video? And I give you personal recommendations. They're people who I've worked with, who I can vouch for. So you go away thinking, okay, you know what? This is not Joe Blogs. I've got a personal referral here. So I know I'm going to get an A-grade service and I'm going to get a good price as well. So we pretty much help you plan your whole event. We go through your itinerary. We tell you what works, what doesn't work. Because don't forget, we do, as a company, we do pretty much nearly 1,500 events a year. So we see what works, we see what mistakes happen, we see what doesn't work. So I can tell you, you know what, Dav, for example, don't do that because I've seen that and it actually really went wrong. So don't do that. You should actually do it like this and you should do it like that. So we kind of guide you through the whole process. And we pretty much become a one-stop shop.
Bro, absolutely superb. Let the listeners know, man, the website, what is it?
There's two. Well, my personal one, www.rajeevb.com. You can see all about me and all my music. Everything is up there. There's also kudosmusic.co.uk. That's the main brand, the main hub. So if you want to look at DJ packages, if you want to look at anything to do with what we're about, by all means, man, check out Instagram as well. It's all on there at Rajeev B Music, at Kudos Music. Everything is up there.
Superb. Now let's carry on with the interview. Right, bruv. You've got this magical ability to read the crowd, right? You must do, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be a great DJ. So you know what works, yeah. So I think you've translated that over to your mixes, so you know what are bangers. So
well, I hope I know what our bangers. I mean, I like to think I do. Ideas, these are actually really, really good questions you're asking because they're getting me thinking.
good.
I used to when I started going into the music production, you go in with the view that, you know what, I think I know what would make a good remix or a good track. I think I know what elements are required, and you learn that from basically smashing a party.
Yeah.
And when you're doing something that's making that dance floor erupt, it gives you the knowledge to think, okay, you know what, that worked. So you kind of take those ideas and you try and put them into music. And like I said, a lot of the remixes and stuff that I make are ideas that I've done at shows.
Wow.
I've seen the reaction right there in front of me, and I've thought, okay, you know what, let me go away and make that.
Wow. Do you know, regarding the actual this may sound a bit weird what I'm going to say to you, but regarding the mainstream side of things, right, and DJing, what I found that DJs were using, like, since a couple of years ago, actual stems, and they're mixing stems live. What do you make of that?
You mean no, you're talking about the waveform bar, are you?
Yeah, but they'll actually have the bass, and then they'll have like the percussion section, then they'll have the vocal, and on the mainstream side of things, I'm not sure if anyone's doing it on the Punjabi side of things, but if they're not, you better get on it, bruv. But what it is literally that they're literally mixing, they're actually buying these stems packages, which is mad. So I'm not sure whether they're collaborating with studios or there's middlemen companies, and I thought those mixes there were absolutely fabulous because, and I'll tell you where my background comes from. My background comes from as I was studying all this stuff, which was a bit boring at times. I earned my money basically working security, and so besides going working some of the roughest doors, working in Hackney, blah 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 blah, you get to meet a lot of DJs over there, and that's where you learn a lot of stuff. But I also then went on to work for the Elites, which is ultra high net worth individuals, private equity. One equity's master of the universe, the guy who makes all the Harry Potter films, presidents of countries and that, which was interesting as well. But that's not the point. The point is, though, that's definitely one to look into, bro, regarding the stems, because I don't think anyone's doing it on the Punjabi side, providing the stems.
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Because on the mainstream thing, that's what they're doing now. Regarding the whole born in the 80s, raised in the 90s, man, you put this genius mix together, man. I thought to myself, this is absolutely heavy. Because I'm like yourself. Obviously, I look like 90 years older than you, but still, born in the 80s, raised in the 90s. So talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm into all music. So predominantly, yeah, we do Asian weddings and stuff. But I actually do all events. So all the different mixes. So growing up, older brother and sister, I've kind of been predisposed to all of the different genres. From the dance, the pop that they used to listen to, the tracks that they grew up listening to. Naturally, I grew up listening to. So that kind of widened my horizons of the genres of music that I'm very, very fluent with. So obviously 90s R&B and stuff like that is something that's always like, it's the best music out there. Let's be honest, man. You don't get R&B like 90s R&B. So when I managed to get hold of a few of the acapellas and stuff like that I used, I was really, really excited about that. And I thought, you know what, this is my opportunity to kind of put my own spin on some bangers that we all grew up listening to. And that's kind of where it came about, man. I mean, if I'm honest with you, if I just make like Bhangra music, I get bored. Like, even if I'm at an event and I'm just being told to DJ Bhangra music, I get bored. So people book me because they want that mix of music. And I do a lot of mixed weddings. I've done all the mixes under the sun that you can think of, different bride and grooms from different cultures getting married. I've done those weddings. And I love them. And that kind of helps me, again, just keep that horizon very, very broad and make sure that I know all the different types of music out there and I'm constantly playing it. So that's how you kind of almost rehearse the music, and you almost really, really become fluent with something when you're actually playing it and thinking, what's next? I'm playing this song now. That song's going to make them go even mad. You know what I mean? That's going to take the energy levels up another notch. And then that is what makes you fluent with these genres. And I think off the back of that, like I said, growing up with that music, it's always been in my blood. And having a chance to put together a mixtape that's not just a Bhangra mixtape, I would always jump at that opportunity.
Bruv, come on, man. Last night, like, it's all about Get With Ya, Biggie, and however do you want it. I was like, yo.
You like that,
yeah? Yeah. Oh, my life. It's next level. Right. So regarding acapellas and acquiring acapellas, after interviewing Pete Ware on the show, he dropped me a hot tip, and I'm not sure whether you know it or not. So where back in the day where you have the CDs, you'll have like your main versions and you'll have your instrumental.
Yep.
And the way to extract the vocal, and this is like back in his day, what he taught me in the early 80s, late 70s, they used to literally put the two tracks together on a sequencer, flip the phase of the one so that it'd cancel out the music. Yeah, so you'd have the full track plus the instrumental, flip the phase in the one, cancels out the music, and you're left with the vocal, just a raw vocal. So
wow.
Yeah, I know it sounds a bit nerdy and that, but it's just I thought that could help you grab more acapellas.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with the music side of things, it gets to be honest, it does get busy. Like I get a lot of other people approaching me to make music for them, and I have done, but it gets difficult because ultimately when you do work for other people, your own work stops. And then especially when it's like busy season with the shows, it's hard. And I think there's sometimes hurdles when it comes to things like music production, because you were probably aware is you get studio blocks. Sometimes you just don't want to go into the studio. You don't want to do nothing to do with music, and stuff like. Sometimes it happens with DJing as well. Like I remember when I was young, I used to DJ all the time. Like someone would say, "Do you want to come out and play football?" I'd be like, "Nah, I'd rather go and DJ for 2 hours, and have a mix." But sometimes when you're doing so many events, then sometimes you kind of think, you know what, I just DJ at events now. So you don't really want to in your own time go and do that, because it's almost become like work as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Well, my world of radio, we're relegated to being in the studio, and I think you get to see the fun side of it as well, even though it's hard work. And actually, that's gonna that leads on to the next question. The actual physical lugging of the speakers and everything, right? Please tell me you've got roadies and that to help you.
Yeah, we've got a lot of team, and sometimes we're taking, believe it or not, we're taking lorries to events.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
would
like the
do.
Coca-Cola truck.
Yeah.
We're talking big Arctic lorries are coming to your event, and we're doing a full-on transformation, a full-on production. So yeah, we've got a big team of certified riggers, through to normal labor, everything. Techs on site. So you've got you. Everyone's dedicated on a certain job. There's a lot of manpower involved. Yeah, there's no way that anyone would be able to do anything like that. Even me, I've done it 22 years now. I've been DJing, and you are nothing without your team. Nothing without your team. I wouldn't be able to do half of the things if I didn't have my solid team as my backbone. They are what makes you able to push forward.
Salute, man, salute. Now, regarding, I'm gonna go old school, like from my little bit of knowledge. Like, I used to know a couple of DJs, and they used to rave on about crown amplifiers, man, stuff like that. You know what I
Amcron.
mean? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. We used to, back in the day, you'd have a VZ 5000 and a 3600. That's what you need. And that Amprac used to weigh a ton. And that's still now, you could argue that they are still the don of amplifiers, because the beeline that amp drops, yeah, the way it allows that sound to kick out, you don't get nothing like that. But they're so old, you need reliability as well. So for us, you kind of got to weigh it up. Like, what do you do? Do you take an amp that sounds really good, but is also 25 years old, even
yeah.
30 years old, and could go down at you at any time? So eventually you kind of got to move on to the new thing. But yeah, those amps, if you were old school DJ, 80s, 90s, even your 2000s, you're talking crown amps.
Yeah. Bloody hell. So yeah, I'm glad I raised that. Now another question: Are there such thing as lightweight speakers which can still give the thump as to the old heavy turbo sound systems and that?
Yeah, definitely. Back in the day, it was all about, how big the magnet is on the back of the speaker and how much
Yeah.
the speaker weighs. That's gonna tell you. But like everything, look, technology advances. Like I remember now, I changed in my old sound system. I upgraded all the speakers, and the magnet was like a quarter of the size. They were lightweight, neodymium or something like that, I think it was
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
And they were fantastic speakers, and they were proper loud. They were louder than my old ones. So I think that with like everything, that's just kind of, you just got to break away from the past and move with the time, because everything advances, technology advances. So I think, yeah, you don't need to have a big magnet and a heavy speaker to drop some beeline. Everything's doing it now. My new system now that I use is all active. There's no amp rack. Everything's powered.
Wow. That is beautiful, because at least that way that I'm just theoretically talking, that the amp is actually matched to the actual speaker itself for optimal
Yeah, and
performance. Yeah.
but just by you mentioning that, how important that is to have a good match. You don't want to have an underpowered speaker. You don't want to have an overpowered speaker, because you'll blow it. You don't want to have an underpowered speaker, because you'll also blow it, because it's always sucking more power and you haven't got the power there. But also a big thing is, what I realize is sometimes, like, but going back to the crown amps, I've been at a time where the amp's gone down.
Boy.
So if the amp's gone down, all your bass goes. For example, your bass amp's gone, all your bass is gone. Whereas with my new system, if one amp goes, just that one speaker turns off. The rest of it still goes. So you're able to carry on. So things like that, I think you kind of just got to, it's experience, man. You got to basically go through hell. You got to be on that stage and know that your amp's turned off, and have that sweat trickling down to realize, okay, I don't want to be in that position again.
Wow. May I make a recommendation as well? Make sure that you have the number or someone who's a good tech, basically, in terms of with a soldering iron, to look at your capacitors. I know it sounds boring, but within your amplifier, because what it is, what people can.
We have a sorry to interrupt.
No, it's cool, bro.
We have a tech employed with us. So all the kit is tested every week before it goes out on a job, or when it returns from a job before it goes out the following weekend. So you've got to stay on top of your servicing and your maintenance, because that's your biggest bill. You don't look after your equipment's not going to look after you. It goes like anything, right? So you have to service your gear regularly. You have to make sure your repairs are done, and fans are cleaned out. There's a lot of maintenance. Your cables are checked. There's loads of tests. So, to be honest, now in the venues that we play in, you got to send a pack of documents before you get into the venue. So you're talking PAT testing, Lola testing. You know, all your insurances have to be in place. Your riggers have to be certified riggers. Your risk assessment method statements, everything is very, very detailed to do what you got to do. So your kit has to be proper.
Wow. Okay. Is it true that you can do the moonwalk?
I can do the moonwalk. Nah. I don't know where you heard that. I can't do the moonwalk.
I'm saying that is because, right, I've picked up on the fact that you're a fan of MJ.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So the Beat It Borleon. All my life. I think that is just absolutely next level, man. So to actually have the courage to do a mix like that and to pull it off as well, execute it, you smashed it because there's many people which are fans of MJ. Plus, you also used your brain power and put together the slow jam thing, slow jam mixtape for Valentine's Day. And I think that's a genius move as well. You know what I mean? So tell me about that.
You know what? Again, I'm not purposely linking everything back to DJing, by the way. But you know, even with that, the reasoning behind that is because I used to get brides and grooms asking me all the time, "Oh, can you make me a personalized first dance?
Hanji.
I want this song for my first dance. Can you do something with it?" So I thought, you know what? Let me make an album of songs that are potential first dance songs. So a lot of people now use those tracks for their first dance, which is a really nice touch because if I'm there and I've made the music and I'm DJing as well, it just all kind of falls into place. It's nice. But that was the main purpose behind that. And I think these ideas, I just think like, you know, in practicality, like how would, if I make something, if I just make a bog standard remix of anything, someone's going to listen to it once, twice, 10 times, 20 times, eventually you're going to get bored of it. But when you keep doing different things and think about, you know, like for example, you mentioned Valentine's, you know, it's something that everyone knows about. It comes every year. It's Valentine's Day. So if you put something that's linked to Valentine's and it's that kind of music, it's going to always get listened to as well. And again, like, you know, the same thinking was with like the born in the 80s and the 90s. I knew which audience is it going to appeal to. Everyone who's born in the 80s and raised in the 90s, they're going to know those songs. They're going to think, wow, that's a really good remix. I like it. And it's a good way to engage different audiences, not just your typical, for example, your typical Bhangra Indian. Like I got so many English people supporting that particular mixtape. I got so many ladies and brides supporting the slow jam stuff. Even like, for example, coming back to the Michael Jackson thing. MJ, you know, come on, man, he's the king. He's the king.
Damn right. Rest in peace.
Music's the best. He's the king. So to be able to do that and pull it off was a true blessing for me. But I had to. We actually gave the track out as a free download as a tribute to him on his 3rd year death anniversary. It was, I believe. So that was something that I was proud to be able to do. And at those days back then, I think it was in 2012. I'm sure. People weren't giving music out for free.
Yeah.
People were not doing that. You're putting your time and effort in. You know, you're paying a vocalist. You're doing everything. You're getting lyrics done. You're doing the whole promotion. You're picking up the cost of all of that. We weren't getting support back then, and then you're giving the track out for free.
Wow.
So it was just something different, man. I just like to do things a bit different when I can.
Salute, man. Salute to that. Now, then, how do you deal with the age-old problem of this one? You have the drunk Punjabi brother saying, "Ek hor gana padi, please." How do you deal with that one?
Oh man, you know what? Now, back in the day, they'd get away with it because someone would say that to you, and they'd keep saying it to you, and it would be again and again and again, and then you'd end up playing that one more song. But now it helps because the venues help out a lot with that.
Yeah,
you'll have security at a venue. You'll have an event manager who will come and stand on stage and say no more. And to be honest, if I'm very honest with you, I don't mind playing one more.
Yeah.
If the party's kicking. And I've got a dance floor buzzing, I don't mind playing one more.
Yeah.
It's not me that wants the music off, it's the venue. So really, they should come and stand on stage, take onus for it, and say, nope, you're not allowed no more. And that is what happens. So you do upset a lot of people. You've always got the drunk party who then ends up swearing at you and whatever. And that's probably the bad bit of the job because the people get pissed off. Like, you know, you're purposely not playing their music. But it's out of our hands. At the end of the day, we don't own the venue. It's their house, it's their rules. When they say music off, it's off. And some people, they just turn your power off.
Wow. That's harsh, but it's effective, isn't it?
Yeah, but we're dead against that, because you can imagine the damage it does to your equipment if you just cut the power.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we that's something that we kick off about. So before it gets to that stage, we have to enforce whatever it is, which is no more music or whatever it is. I mean, to be honest, most of the people, they understand it's fine. And I think that happened a lot back in the day. I remember, like, when I first got into events and I was first DJing, used to get those. That was probably the biggest headache. At the end, one more, everyone stand there, start chanting one more. Do you know what I mean? But now people are right. There's some people, I've been in parties where people just give you a round of applause.
Salute. So could you tell us one of the worst experiences you've had, though, being a DJ?
Worst experiences. Worst experience. There's been well, I'd like to say there hasn't been a lot, but there's been a few. Like, for example, you've got somewhere. I remember once where we were in the middle of an event and they were doing speeches, and they had like this big presentation on the screens and stuff, and I tripped on the wire that was going into the projector, busted it out of the projector and broke the projector at the same time, so all the screens went off in the middle of their speech. Something like that. Like I said, like, your amp's cutting off. I had one where I was in a venue where, for some reason, the power to the stage was linked to the fire exits. So if someone opened the fire exit, the power cut off. So in the middle of the bride and groom's first dance, some auntie has gone and walked out of the fire exit, opened the door, and cut all the power on the first dance. There's been loads of stuff like that, man. When you look back at it, it could be borderline, like, you can laugh at it, but at the time, you're sweating. At the time, you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
Whoa. Salute to you, man, for going through that. So I take it there must be your own internal risk management before you kick off the actual set, because you got to check all this stuff in it. That's scary. That is
part
scary.
and parcel of the work the planning that you put in. Look at it like this, yeah. When you get to the event, that's the easy part. You've done all the work before, from music that they want, from the itinerary, from what's going on the LED screen, from your logistics, what kit is being prepped for that job, what staff are on that job, what time you're getting to the venue, have the venue got all their documents that they need, like you said, what are the risks? Every single venue, if we don't know the venue, we'll go and do a site visit. You'll find out what you need to find out about that venue, where the power is, how big the stage is where you're setting up, what's your access, all of these things. Is there a sound limiter in place? Can you use a haze machine? Are you allowed to do confetti? You'll get all of this information. You will never turn up to an event without this stuff.
Bro,
yeah, true. The aim of that, the result of that rather is, you kind of prevent these things from happening. But there's always that one auntie that's going to open the fire exit in the first time. Cut you off.
Yeah, exactly. That'll lead me onto another question. You've mentioned the word power a lot now. I think in the studio world and radio world, I think the importance of power conditioners, having the Furman power conditioner, the heavy duty one, to clean that power, and that's going to affect your low frequencies in particular. They even use it. It was one of the oldest tricks used when you used to see a telly back in the day, and you used to see it in the shop, and the picture was beautiful. The blacks are black, the red are red, the proper red. You get it home, it's just not the same thing. Then you go back to the shop, you go, "Oi, you sold me a dodgy telly." They go, "No." The salesman will go, "It's the power conditioner it's plugged into." So I take it you guys use power conditioners because you don't know about how clean that power is, yeah?
We've actually, again, even that is something that's changed over time. Back in the day, you're using the normal plug power, 13 amp supplies. Now we use 3-phase power supply. Wow. So that's a dedicated power supply, 63 amp or 125 amp or 32 amp 3-phase.
Insane.
So it's like a big fat red connector coming out the wall. You plug your lead into that, and you have your distro kit, and that breaks it down. So you've got a dedicated power source coming to you that can't cut, that can't trip or anything like that. It's a very strong power supply. It's coming through your own distribution, which is all a fused, big box I'm talking about, which has got loads of 16 amp power outs, 20 amp power cons, plugs. You have all the cabling. So you know that your lighting's on one phase, your sound's on one phase, your visuals are on one phase. You split it like that.
Bro, if it was me, because I used to work on film sets as well. Like, we worked on The Crown for Netflix.
Wow.
yeah, Spider-Man, Morbius, loads of them,
Not
loads
just
of
a pretty
film.
face then.
Yeah, but just loads of different locations. But what we had on location was Jenny's, right? And what I was going to ask you is could that be like a? I know it's a bit far fetched, right? But in the worst case, could you actually have a Jenny on the outside? Because for worst case scenario, the power goes, you still got the party banging.
Yeah, we've done that loads of times.
Oh, salute! Here's me making it like it's some innovative idea.
Yeah, look, especially in marquee events. In
Yeah,
marquee events,
yeah,
you have to have a generator, and we will tell them how many kVs we need to make sure that we've got enough. Because don't forget, off that generator, you'll have your fridges and your kitchen stuff all coming off that. You'll have your DJ coming off that. So it needs to be a big, strong Jenny.
yeah.
And we get them. We work with the company who deliver them, set them all up, and then take them away after the event. Normally at venues, you'd only use it at a venue if they haven't got three-phase, and if the actual normal supply, the 13 amp supply, is on a ring with loads of other things pulling current. But
Yeah.
again, that's one of the many checks that you would do beforehand. So you would never turn up with all this kit and a big LED screen and stuff like that if you know that the power's not correct. And if it's not correct, you have to organize a generator.
Hanji, absolutely brilliant. Now I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room now. Being a wedding DJ and being a DJ and all. Lockdown. So talk about the impact of lockdown on your personal impact on you.
Lockdown, you know what? In short, it's been hard. It's been hard. We were on the financial side of things. We were the first to be shut down, and we're still not open. So the whole country's kind of gone back to working, some form of working. Some industries were booming. We were not allowed to do anything from corporate work to private events. Everything was just shut down. We had zero support from the government. So that was good. We still had the council banging on about business rates. Our doors were closed. We weren't allowed to do any business, but they still wanted business rates. And we didn't even get rates relief. So it's been tough on a personal side of things, being super busy all the time, and then not being busy at first. I loved it, to be honest. In March when it was locked down, the weather was nice. I was at home with my son, my newborn, and to be honest, it was priceless. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
But if I'm honest with you, 16 months later, still in the same situation, you kind of, you're wanting to get back to work now, because it's like, you're just sitting around, and it does. I'm quite headstrong, but it tests your sanity. Like, if you're someone who's used to being active and doing things and basically not being a couch potato, which is, I was always doing things. Gyms were closed. This and that. I do a lot of boxing, so I was lucky that my coach would come and we'd do my sessions in the garden. But it got tough, man. It got tough, especially, I'll tell you, for me, the toughest time was when during Christmas, and then after Christmas, when we went into the new year, and we went in with a lockdown, and the weather was bad, and you couldn't even step outside. It was so cold, and it was raining, and it was just really dull. And I think that definitely tested my mental strength.
Bro, salute to you, man, because your nose is straight, man. My one goes that way, man. So if you're boxing, like you ain't getting caught in the face. I'm getting caught, man. But it says a lot about your mentality, because you know what it is. The boxing circuits are some of the most hardest out there, and all I'm picking up from you from this interview is work ethic, because the way you studied, the way you multitasked, the way you went and did those gigs, you did paper rounds from being a kid to getting your first gear together. Now, things are opening back up again slowly, and regarding outdoor live events, are you looking forward to anything?
I'm looking forward to just getting back to work, man. I think for us, we're still. My personal view is the rest of this year will be consumed in cleaning up all of the mess that this has caused over the last 16 to 18 months. So you got to think about how many hours of admin we've had to do for cancelling events, downgrading events, rescheduling events, then rescheduling them again, then eventually cancelling them, then having the whole refund issue going on with clients, and there's that, and trying to work with everyone to make sure that you're doing the best you can. So I think the rest of this year will be consumed in that way. I mean, for us, since he's made the further 4-week delay, yes, it's affected July, but some people are still going ahead. Ultimately, ask yourself this: if you were going to have even 100 people at a wedding, or 200, or 300, or 500, why would you? What's happened now is you need a venue, you need a caterer, you need your decor, you need your video, you need your photo. But if you ain't got no dancing, you don't need your DJ, and you don't need a big DJ setup. You just need a small PA system. So they kind of singled us out now. So that's not a good thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to events. Coming back to your question. Sorry, I went a bit off target there.
No. It's fine, man. It's fine.
Looking forward to going back to events, big or small. A lot of them are small. And I think that's, for me, I prefer it that way, because, I can't remember the last time. There has never been a point, actually, that I have not DJ'd for this long. Yeah. Normally, I DJ every single weekend of the year. Yeah. If there's 52 weekends in the year, I'm DJing at least 50.
Wow.
At least 50 weekends every year, guaranteed. So not DJing. I think my last event that I did was on the 23rd of February, 2020.
Wow.
2020. Yeah.
But it's not like, I take it, is it like riding a bike where you jump back on the bike and you're going to be hot as you were back in February 2020?
DJing itself will come, like, you're not going to forget how to DJ, but you will be rusty. It doesn't matter who you are. If you don't do something for that long, you're going to need a few goes. Hence why I was saying, having these smaller events, they're kind of like that, just to help you get going again and get back to the flow. And it's not just about DJing, it's making sure you don't forget something in the storage unit, making sure all your kit works. Like how fast the staff would set everything up, because they were doing it week in, week out, week in. It became like clockwork. No one's done it for 16 to 18 months. So when you now go back to event, you need to allocate more time, because you're going to have hurdles, you're going to have things that you've forgotten how to do, or they're taking you longer. And even like, for us, the energy that you bring to event, that energy used to come to us naturally, because you're doing it so frequently. So you just got to kind of ease yourself back into it. So although it's a bit of a kick in the teeth that we've had this 4-week delay, the fact that events are still going ahead and they're just slightly smaller,
Angie,
I'm okay with that. I'm happy to just get back on the road.
Bruv. Yeah, exactly. At Radiation, I need to say thank you. I'll tell you why, to you personally. I reached out to you, was it about a year ago? And I said to you, brother, your mixes are sick. I go, is it all right if I stick them up on the Radiation server? You know what I mean? And I goes,
I remember,
yeah. And you turned around to me and you go, yeah, brother, do it, man. Oh, that's the ice cream van. He ain't a normal ice cream van. He's a drug dealing ice cream van. It's really, really weird what you have over here. Just trust me. Dagging him. It's a bit. But anyway, so what I was going to say is thank you for that, and that's why we have time for people. So now we're growing, small town radio. We're growing with listenership getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We remember those people who helped us as well back then. When you had a choice, you could have gone, "Who's this guy?" You know what I mean? You never thought that in your head. So it's funny, but now
I think we were. I don't even now, I don't see myself as no big artist or no big time DJ. I'm just a normal guy that grafts and does my thing. So if I can't have that mutual respect for someone else, then that's what I think is the downfall of this industry, because people get arrogant. Their success can get to their head, and that's just not me, to be honest, man. So yeah, I was actually honored that you asked me, can I put your music on the radio?
Salute. Thank you, man. As soon as I heard those mixes, I was like, yo, this guy is next level. He's got this natural ear for perfect timing. And you mentioned that you trained in percussion. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, trained is probably an overstatement. I've done like mainly Tolki. I had lessons and stuff on Tolki, but I was always, like I said, I was always tapping away, man. Like my biggest thing that I got trouble in at school was tapping on tables and just making beats. I'd hear something in a song and I would then replay that myself. So like Actually studying, I'd say that there wasn't. I didn't physically study this stuff, but I was self-taught. I taught everything. Like I tap away like tabla, tolki, tool. You go through these phases. I was fascinated by the tool. I loved the tool. Any opportunity to play tolki or tool, that was me when I was young, man. That was me just there. And if I couldn't, I had my biro in my hand. I'm tapping away on the table.
Salute, man, salute. All right, what's been your most challenging mix of all those that you've done? What a question, eh?
You know what? One of them, and it's probably the one of the top ones, would be Robbie Williams Angels on
Salute,
the slow jam.
salute.
Because if you are gonna touch that track, you better make sure you don't mess it up.
True.
That's not one song that you want to try and remix and ruin, because that's an anthem.
Yeah.
That is an anthem. So and I was super happy with how that came out. The idea behind it. Again, I just knew that I'd heard this flute piece in a song, and I knew that would just be mental with Angels, and putting them together and then building the rest of the beat around the background, and putting in, I think I used a sample from Hey Shona, the Bollywood song, in that as well. I haven't heard it in a while, but yeah, that, and I just knew that the music, it was such a powerful song and such powerful vocals. It needed a music that would be equally as powerful to go with it, but obviously, a completely different twist on it. So yeah, that was the most challenging, to be able to do it and basically not scrap it halfway through.
Bruv. You're sick at what you do. You're in a position where like people want to be giving you their tunes to get them played out because you're sick at what you do. You know what I mean? So, is there anything which I haven't asked you? I know it sounds a weird question. It's a bit blatant, yeah, but it's just I don't want you to turn around and say I had a crap interview on Radiation. The presenters did a half-assed job sort of thing.
Nah, to be honest, I think it's been a great interview. I think you've actually asked me questions that normal other interviews have not asked me. You've engaged me in a different way. You've actually got me thinking about the. That's a good question. And then when you start kind of taking a trip down memory lane in your brain and you're thinking about it, you're like, wow, that's actually a really good question, man. So yeah, I think, to be honest, you've done a fantastic job, man. I think you've covered everything. I think that you're very down to earth, and the way you even speak and approach people is just it's brilliant, man. To be honest, so I can't fault it at all. I would never walk away saying it. Well, that was a rubbish interview. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, my brother, you are the best now. This is the worst part, like for many people, where I'm gonna ask you, hey, this is B Famous, or this is Rajeev B. You listen to Radiation, the #1 station for the Asian invasion. Could you please pull that one off?
Okay, all right, let's go. What is happening, people? You're listening to Rajeev B, Mr. B Famous on Radiation, the #1 station for the Asian invasion.
Oh, chuck the fate, bro! He done it. We've had some proper tongue twisters, man. We've had like rappers and MCs come apart, you know what I mean? When normally they're tight on their bars, man, which is absolutely sick. What I'm going to do, right, because you're a proper grounded brother and you help me in my day when I'm still coming up right now. Yeah. What I want you to do for me, which is also going to help you, put yourself like a 20-second or 30-second advert together. Yeah. And I'm going to play that out on the radio, no charge, for 3 months. For nothing. That'll help you boost up a little bit, because our listenership is big international. Not sure how that's going to help with international bookings and the rest of that, but you never know. But that is my little way of saying thank you. So whenever you're ready on that one, just put that together, an advert, and I'll get that put out on the server. Yeah.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Any support is massive, man. Like, it doesn't matter big or small. The fact that you're offering that is really, really, really nice of you, man. Thank you very much. I'll definitely get onto that.
Good, bruv. Good. Because you know what it is. Like I said, the way people treat you when you're a small fry, you remember those days. You know what I mean? You remember that, man. Remember that. We never have hung guard, bruv. I sleep on the floor. And I mean, I cook my own food. I read scriptures every day. I'm studying Sanskrit. That's what I'm doing.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Sanskrit is
Wow.
difficult. Prakrit,
Yeah,
Sanskrit.
that's tough.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. But my brain has to be constantly working. Now, could you? I don't know, man. It's just it's been an honor having you on the show, and you've done the thing for radiation. And what I was going to say, please come out with your contact details again.
Okay, so if you need to get in contact, of course, you can go onto my website and you can get in contact with me through there. You can email me bookings@rajeevb.com. You can hit me up on Instagram, on all my socials, in fact, at Rajeev B Music, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, that is it. If you need to get in contact for anything, whether it be music production, whether it be a show, an international booking, anything. If you want to show some love for the music, hit me up, man. I'm there.
Salute, man. Salute. My brother, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Hold it down and stay brown. You are the best, man.
Thank you so much, man. It's been a great honor to be on. Thank you so much.
Salute, bro. Changavila.
Take care, man.
Cool, bro. Cool.
Bye, bye.